In the heart of ancient Persia, surrounded by mountains and roaring rivers, there ruled a mighty warrior king named Sam. He was brave, wise, and feared across the land, a man who had never bowed before any enemy. Under his rule, the kingdom of Kabul flourished. The drums of war were silent, and the people lived in peace. But fate, as always, had plans of its own. One fateful night, as thunder rolled across the heavens, cries echoed through the palace halls. Sam's wife was in labor. Midwives rushed through the candle-lit corridors, whispering prayers for a healthy heir. When the cries of the newborn finally filled the room, all turned to look and froze in shock. The child's hair was white as snow, and his skin pale as moonlight. The women trembled. They believed such a child was touched by demons or cursed by the gods. When Sam entered the chamber, his joy turned to horror. He saw not a blessing, but what he thought was an omen, a mark of shame upon his bloodline. "Has the heavens mocked me?" he shouted, his voice shaking the walls. The courtiers bowed their heads in silence. No one dared speak. Sam, the proud warrior, could not bear the sight of his own son. And so, blinded by fear and superstition, he gave a command that would haunt him forever. Before dawn, Sam ordered his soldiers to take the infant and leave him atop Mount Alborz, where only eagles and snow dared to dwell. The soldiers, hearts heavy with guilt, obeyed. They placed the child on a bed of silk beneath the cold stars and left him to die, his cries echoing through the valley. But destiny does not abandon those chosen by the divine. From the peaks above, a shadow moved, vast wings unfurled, and the Simurgh, the legendary bird of wisdom, descended. Her feathers blazed with gold and crimson, her eyes deep as the ancient sea. Hearing the cries of the forsaken child, she landed beside him. She looked upon his white hair and fragile form, and something within her, older than time itself, stirred with compassion. Gently, she lifted the infant in her talons and soared into the clouds. High upon her nest of copper branches, deep in the heart of Alborz, the Simurgh nurtured the child as her own. She wrapped him in her radiant feathers, fed him with the fruits of the mountain, and sang songs older than mankind. Under her care, the child grew strong and wise, his eyes bright with wonder, his heart pure and fearless. She named him Zaal, the child of the mountain, and he called her Mother. Years passed, and Zaal grew into a tall, noble youth, his hair still white as frost, his spirit burning like flame. He learned the language of the winds and the wisdom of the stars. The Simurgh told him stories of kings and warriors, of love, of honor, and of fate, preparing him for a world he had never seen. Yet deep inside, Zaal often gazed toward the valleys below, wondering who he truly was. Far away in Kabul, Sam could find no peace. His victories felt hollow. His nights were haunted by a child's cry carried by the wind. Dreams tormented him. Dreams of a white-haired boy standing upon a mountain. At last, guilt broke through his pride. One morning, as the sun rose crimson over the peaks, Sam mounted his horse and set out toward Mount Alborz to seek forgiveness and perhaps redemption. From high above, the Simurgh watched him approach. The same man who had once abandoned the child she now loved. She knew the time had come. Zaal's destiny was calling him back to the world of men. But the Simurgh's heart ached. She had raised him as her own son. She spread her golden wings, and the wind carried her song through the mountain air. A song of farewell and of fate fulfilled. At sunrise, Sam reached the mountain's base. He looked up toward the misty peaks, his heart burning with hope and shame. And high above, Zaal stood at the edge of the nest, his white hair glowing in the dawn like fire and snow. As father and son beheld one another for the first time, the mountain fell silent. For destiny, once denied, had awakened. Wait for the next episode.